Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. More fun-filled days. Let's see, is this working? Waiting for. There we go. Okay, we're getting there. Just making sure I can hear me. Can you hear me now? Is it live or Memorex? Okay. So there we start off with the Swissy. There's the Swissy this morning, moving up a little bit. I mean, no doubt, it is truly unique times. I mean, it's every time I say it's unique times, they do something that drives me even more batty in the head to make it like it's even more unique times. This morning we see the dollar being sold. I mean, sorry, the dollar being bought. That's what that represents when we look at the dollar against the Swiss franc or the saltine. And you can see this is moving up in the daily on the Chicago Quant. Then we go over to, let's check out, where is it at? Right there, off of the Chicago, oh, no, I'm sorry, that was off of J4X. That's the J4X showing you that there's the dollar against the Swiss going up. You can see that's the hinky-ashy bars and all like that. You see the white line moving up and so forth. And then you slip over to, we go over to Chicago Quant, and it's the same story. You see that. Now what's really curious is, we got this weekly trying to turn down, which is fascinating in its own right. With the daily trying to turn up, it just shows you how much of a head fake this whole marketplace is. I can show you a couple more things this morning doing the same exact thing, like say the S&P 500. You can see the S&P 500, was moving down, and it's trying to, the weekly is lifting at the moment. We'll see how well that lasts by the end of the week. If this thing starts to fall down to these lows in the low 400s areas or something like that, 425 area, 4,250, that type of thing. We'll see. But at this point, we've been in a daily sell in the S&P 500 for a few days now. This is going on the fourth day now, I guess you can see there. So it's got that same strange thing going on. In other words, obviously long-term money is, what I mean by long-term on a weekly basis. And obviously long-term on a daily basis is the top chart. And then obviously when we, let me just throw it in here for the fun of it. Yes, there is fun in trading. And when we go to like something short-term, like here's the S&Ps on a 639 contract, so it's an intraday, one of my tools I use for myself to trade intraday. You can see obviously the shorter term money or the longer term money on a 639 versus say a 300 something. So it's all relative. It's that Al Einstein thing, and I'm not talking about the family members and who's sleeping with who. I'm just talking about, it's relative in the sense of, relative to time reference. So, we get rid of that off the screen for a moment, and we minimize that, and we go back to the Swissy again. Let's go back to Mr. and Mrs. Swiss. There it is on J4X. No, I'm on Chicago Quant. And you can see, they're lifting up, and this thing is trying to break down. So we'll see how this all shifts out if this holds up on the selling that we're seeing at the moment. Alan, how you doing? A lot of moves taking place. Yeah, we talked about it last week, how it was shifting over the weekend. I was saying to somebody on a boat ride, things are getting a little hinky out there. Things are getting a little weird. You got to be careful there. Matter of fact, look at, you threw up euro, and I haven't even read what you said. Euro against the dollar, longs have fallen to 68 week low. Yeah, I know. And we went into what? A daily buy. We're in a weekly sell there. Let's check that out. Right there. You can see that we went into a daily buy on Friday. No dot, just, and you can see the bar was even down, and it goes into a daily buy, and you can see, our math on the weekly is trying to turn up, and sure enough, you can't be long, obviously, on that long, for those that might be new and watching, is that because we were in a weekly sell, and we like to coordinate the weekly with the daily. And so, yeah, you look over on the fact check spreadsheet there for those that are new here. You see 6 weeks we're in a weekly sell, but we went into a daily buy yesterday. So it's just a neutral now. So sometimes you're long, sometimes you're short, sometimes you're neutral. And in this case here, it was a neutral. So you're not getting burned. You're just not making the do re mi on the short side. So yeah, I hear you and I agree. I mean, I'm interpreting this as they're blindsiding. Let me see. How can I say this so everybody understands it? They're blindside. The events that are occurring are blindsiding longer-term money out of nowhere versus the daily money versus the intraday money. And so money was moving and saying, okay, yeah, we're coming to a bottom. Okay, here we go. You can see it here in the euro. Went into the weekly sell up in here. 6 weeks in it, and then all of a sudden, the math consciousness turns around and says, oh, we were getting ready to start to turn up. We even threw a daily buy in there on Friday, and sure enough, what happens? And matter of fact, we could do that. Let's put that daily buy in there. There's the daily buy. And then what is it doing this morning? You can see it's putting when it's not totally confirmed yet, we just put it up top there like that. And you can see it's moving right back into the daily sell. You're looking at this white line breaking through the nonlinear time manifold on the, I guess it's a super 3.5 on the gas line. And, you can see that they were thinking, okay, it's safe to get back into the water. And obviously, nada, buckus, very few dollar shorts left. They are preparing for a COVID worldwide lockdown. Oh, I hope not. I can't take that anymore. It's too screwy. I mean, the COVID thing is so fake in some ways that it's unreal, The whole thing is political. That's all it is. There's no doubt the COVID virus is a very super flu. But in 2020, less people died than 2019. So something's wrong there. And in 2018, more people died than 2019. So this is not the Spanish flu. So, I mean, I know people who have gone into it. They've been in the hospital. I know people who had it for 4 or 5 days. It had no effect on them except for, being knocked down for 4 or 5 days. I had it for 4 or 5 days back in February of 2000. I worked my way through it. Didn't go to a doctor. I'm fine. I'm one of the lucky ones, I guess you could say. But the death rate is not there, or you have to go the other way. You have to say COVID cures cancer, because cancer patients are down 90% from last year. 90, not 9. And heart disease patients are down like 85% from last year. Not 8.5%, 85%. So the question is, did they really die of COVID, or did they die of heart disease? Did they really die of cancer, or did they die of, COVID? Matter of fact, I know somebody that died on a motorcycle. Guess how he died? Not just because his body was thrown at a high rate off his motorcycle. No, he died of COVID. Yeah, he died of COVID. And so that moving at 100 and some odd miles an hour off your machine and cracking your head into a solid object was not the reason of death. It was COVID. So yeah, I hear you, Alan. It's getting wackier and wackier. The media is definitely having its fun. So anyway, there you go. You can see the euro. You can see how that's that was the euro, right? Yeah, that's the euro. So you can see how the euro is doing its little twists and turns there. We'll see. And the weeklies it's systemic. We're seeing a lot of that, like money who was confident, and that's what I warned about last week when we spotted the 500 drop coming in a few days. A couple days before it. I didn't know it was going to be 500. I just knew they were going to sell it down, and because the math was screaming at me, Doc, it's going to be sold down. And so, in the end result is that what we're looking at here now is that, and we're seeing a lot of distortions like that, just like we did in the Swiss. Matter of fact, let's see what Mr. and Mrs. Cable are looking like. Now, Cable, same thing, trying to bounce up. It's been in a weekly sell since back in here, where that rectangular box is. And we've been in a daily buy. Now we're in a daily sell now from here. Let's put that in there. Sometimes it doesn't save it. There it is. I have to go remind it to save workspace. There we are. And so you can see we've been in daily sell with the cable for a couple days. It's playing our bottom end of the range, which we're a tad disappointed because we are a big fan of the Commonwealth. So we like to see the cable and anybody else that's in there, their currencies to do well. I mean, I'm cheering for the Commonwealth and laughing at the Chinese, so that's where I'm at. I'll take the Commonwealth over the Chinese all day long. India alone cleans that out right there. They got enough people to match up against the Chinese. So right there alone, not counting the rest of the Commonwealth countries of South Africa and Nigeria and Kenya, and, Australia, New Zealand, Canadians, the whole bit. Belize, you keep on Jamaica. Hey man, yeah, Jamaica. So I mean, I'm always a big fan of that. I'm always like to see the cable kind of firm when it can be. What else we got to say? Moses, how you doing? I hope you had a nice weekend. We were enjoying ourselves. A little construction, a little farming, a little boating, very little boating, but that was okay. Lots of swimming and barbecuing. Let's see, so that's where we're at with the cable. And remember, traders, if anybody wants to see anything particular, just shout it out on the chat line. We'll go after it. We can stop what we're looking at. Trust me. In trading, there are no foolish questions. There are no dumb questions. There are no stupid questions. There are only long answers or short answers. That's all there ever is. All right. From there, let's slide over to the Canadian. Oh, look at that spike. Ouchie douchie. Now, we've been in the weekly buy since here. And we've been in the daily buy since here. So they're really, giving instant gratification as usual on the upside. Sometimes it's even better now. I noted this is minus here. But I think when we put it there before, it was plus. So someone's moved some math inside there. The exchanges changed it. The clearinghouses changed it. Somebody's changed it. What do we have on the fact check? On line 20, let's just take a quick look at that. Line 20 on fact check spreadsheet. We were one of the only market technicians in the world who keeps a fact check spreadsheet forever on our broadcasts. So you can go look back and see what historically we've been saying. Yeah, so they're saying 5 days. I have a 5-dayer there. So at one point where we had the green line, it was up and some more math. What happens, the clearinghouses with the dark pools, they load things up. And Elise, if you're around, there's a perfect example of that dark pool thing going on, And when we have something like 47 different ECMs now, like the New York Stock Exchange is an ECM, and then they're like the Chicago Mercantile is an ECM, and then there's like a nebulous, the Nasdaq is a ECM, an exchange something market, and then what happens is that there's a lot of black pools that are ECMs. They're competing, and sometimes that data comes into the clearinghouses, and it changes math because my math collects the data. So at one point it was a 5, which is fine, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And now all of a sudden that histogram is minus, the white line is minus, but it's past tense, so we're not really worried about that. But we are disappointed. The fact that the Securities Exchange Commission and the Commodities, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission allows disseminated information to be reapplied to past days. They think that that's being honest. That's not being honest. We want the live stuff. We want the juice in our arm, baby. All right. Doc says this is this is a real risk aversion pair. The Aussie against SGD can we have a look? Well, hell yeah, we can have a look. If you think it's something interesting, I'm there. Let's see. Let's go find it. Let's see if we have it in there. SGD, is that the? Find what that is. Let's see if we even have it in here. I know we have had it in here. It has been asked about. I think at times we've ended up replacing it with other things. So let's do this. Let's turn. What should we turn? Let's turn something or just create one. We can create one. You know what? I really hate having a yen. Not the yen. The yuan. The Chinese yuan, when it almost doesn't perform at all. It only is 2% of world markets. It's not exactly like, something to take too serious. All right, there's the yuan. Let's put SGD in there instead. We can always go back to the yuan if somebody really cares. But who cares? I don't. Where's SGD? I have SEK. All right, let's see if we can find SGD. I know I've done this before. SG. not D, G, like in George. Like Georgia on my mind. No, 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 no. S, let me just do this. S, G, D, look up, add. Okay, so now we go to cash. And I know we've had this before. Because I have seen this. Is that one of the Scandi countries, maybe? Oh, it's Singapore, that's it. Jeez, I always wanted to trade in Singapore. They offered me free seats. Couldn't get the ex-wife to do it. Drove me crazy. Matter of fact, Australia used to offer my operation three free seats also, just to get us to come down there because of the amount of capital and trading we did. I always wanted to go to Singapore. I was going to go to San Fran. I was supposed to go from Chicago to San Fran. See, you hit a sore spot. I was supposed to go from Chicago, which I did, and then I was supposed to go to San Fran, set up an operation there, and then I was going to jump off to Singapore. Oh well, that's the story. All right, let's find this. Oh, it's AUD. Oh, okay. AUD SGD. All right, let's try that. Maybe it's there already. I could have sworn we've seen this before. So let me just try that. AUD. No, we don't have it there either. That's interesting. So let's do this. Add symbol. Cash. AUD. SGD. Look up. Okay, let's put a comma in there or something like that, right? Or a slash maybe? No, okay, let's do this. Let me make a copy of this. Go back and look. We'll find it. And then I go like that. And just when I go AUD, D. Come on, where are you? Look up. Okay, yeah, so it's a dot. Now why? Oh, there it is. Okay, we got it. Bingo. We got bingo here. Look up. I did add it, right? Yeah. There it is right there. Add. Okay. Close. I would imagine, there's a good question. Not a good question, but a good statement. I heard yesterday that they're considering Hong Kong not special anymore. In other words, it's not unique anymore. So I know that tons of money has moved from Vancouver or to Vancouver and to Singapore and to New Zealand. So I would have to assume that Singapore is probably going to be the most beneficial. All right, now let's put it up there. Dot right there. Now let's do this one. Let's do the weekly. There we go. All right, traders, there we go. We'll look at it. It's a fresh one there. Let's widen it. Now, why is the time manifold brown? What was it? Is that, what do it must be a personal opinion about the Chinese yuan, I made it brown, like poop. I really think it's a bad product. Anybody that has to trade in that thing, God bless you. Alright, so we went into the weekly sell. Let's see, this is running a super. So let's just take a look at the mechanics of it all. Format, style. Alright, so the super is white. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn that into that cute little bluish dashed line I like to play with. Now we're going to turn the white into the histogram correctly. Like that. Amplify that. There we go. That's better. Now the green, the white top is going to be the green. I guess that's how it goes. Let's see. Let's go like that. Is that how we're running them? I think that's how we run them. Is that right? No. Something's wrong now. So I want the... I know what it is. Let me go back to it. Let's do this. Boy, I really made that thing wacky, didn't I? Okay. So the histogram is white. The state is out cutting my quarter mile of land. I can hear them. How nice of them. At least I don't have to start a tractor to do it. They do it once a month. Okay, so there is the weekly. Okay, that's better. So it went into the weekly sell up in here. So let's put that in. And the super, I'll have to go back and check the beta on this, but yeah, I'm going with just the gas line 3 on this. Solid line. There it is. All right, so that's where it went into the weekly sell, and has not come out. Okay, so it's been in the weekly sell for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you can see the super side of it, the plot 6 dashed blue line, which I like to play with depending on the beta of a product. And let's fix this one too. Now this one's just a clean 3, so we can fix this with no problem. So let's make the histogram white. Well, I don't know what mood I was in when I put it up there to begin with. And then let's make the line green. That's the way it's supposed to be. Okay. And so there it is. And I'm not sure what's up with the time manifold. I got the time manifold as brown. I think I go normally on the Chicago Quant. I do it that way with the blue. And let's do it here too. The time manifold, I think, is a blue, right? Or is it gold? Maybe it's gold. All right. So let me just go back to that again. Cancel. We'll leave the nonlinear time manifold as gold. There we go. Because they're gold. There we go. All right. Now you can see here. Let's see. There is now. This was 1. So let's move the numbers around a little bit. So there's now that didn't get into a buy. It's been in the sell throughout all that. That's interesting. Where did the sell start? Right there? Yeah, that's this. The sell started right there. So there's the sell. We'll go backwards. Let's take this green line. That was the buy right there. There's your last sell for that slide down. That buy you can't take, why traders? Because we were in a weekly sell. So you just have to watch it, take your profits, or just stand to the side. Then, let's see. You went into a, no buy there, no buy there, no buy, just that. So there's your last sell. Right there again. That was kind of sloppy. Let's move that over. I'll switch it with that and take that one over. There's your, no. Where's that? That stays there. Okay, so that's the sell. There's the buy. And then it goes right back into a sell again, doesn't it? There's the sell again. Okay. And it can't go into a buy because we have a volatility a green dot and a red dot. That's what that's all about. Matter of fact, let's make the green a little bit bigger. See if that does it. That helps out, I think. Maybe one more larger, like that. Yeah, there we go. All right, so there it is, like that. When you have a red and a green, it's indicative of volatility. And so we wait until the next bar. And if it's above the close on a green side of it, then we make it a buy, and vice versa. So it doesn't happen a lot, so you don't have to worry about it. But it does. It's a good indicator of volatility. So like you can see here, we get a volatility signal, and in the next 2 days, it's running up. And the same thing happened there. And on the downside, it can do the same thing. You got a volatility signal. So that one, no. And let me just double check that too. Format, indicator, bring it down. Okay, let's try this. Let's shrink this down a little bit more. Let's make it a little something clearer. So we'll go with that. And then that. Okay, that's cool. Alright, that looks a lot better now. That's doing it a lot better. And that daily buy here now. So there's your daily buy. I thought I had put the lines in. Where did they go? So there's the daily buy. Then there's your daily sell again. How did they disappear? There's your sell again. But you can't take those buys. You just don't want to be short during them. That's all. And then here's your buy again. And there it is. Oop. There it is right there. It goes sideways, and you're not long, but you're short for this one. So there's another winner chicken dinner. Like that. There we go. Okay, now, how's that? Commonwealth of Singapore. Yep, yep. So how do you like that? That looks pretty good. And does that make sense to you, Alan? AT, does that make sense? It looks pretty good. So it's been in a weekly sell for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. It's on the 11th, but it's doing the same thing as a lot of the other products. The weeklies have turned up, and that's because they got head faked by continuity of thinking that things are going to stay the same. We're seeing a lot of strange things kick out in the math. In other words, they're giving us lots of clear warning. The math is giving me a lot of warning that something's going on. We all know that you can't fight the Fed. So, I mean, it's not like I think that the world's coming to an end or something like that. But let's put it this way. If it wants to be short, I'm not going to tell it not to be. I can't tell it. It's going to tell me. I don't tell markets what to do. They tell me what they're going to do. So, if we were all very comfortable with the free puts by Fed and, watching it climb, and, you can see it this morning. Look at this. Check out the 30-year. It's crazy. I heard the 10-year's down to 124. Let's see. There is the 30-year. Look at that. They're spiking the 30-year. Let me just give it a refresh real quick. Yeah, they're spiking the 30-year. That's flight to safety, And we've been in a weekly buy for a while in there, and then the 10-year. There's your 10-year. Same situation. They're spiking that. Matter of fact, it's taken out these prices here. I mean, they're spiking this stuff. So there's definite nervousness going on. I've been watching this. It's not making sense. And then I guess, do we have the volatility? I think we could throw a volatility up there. We can put an option volatility up there. We saw the option volatility. Matter of fact, what do I do here? I can put up the chart from over the weekend that I put out there. Where's it at? It'll jump out in a second. There it is. Now this is from Saturday, right? I mean, you can see we went into another daily buy again. This thing doesn't like being in daily buys. So, and you can see here, this is running a 3.5, and the histogram is because of the beta on this thing. Hell, sometimes I run a 5.7 on this thing. I mean, not recently, but a half a decade or a decade and a half back, I used to run a 7, but it's actually slowed down. The volatility has slowed down, ever since quantitative easing, so we didn't have to use a different gas line like that. But you can see here, the weekly is trying to turn up, the daily is turning up. It tried to do it last week, right before they crashed the market 500, that opening. And I think we're doing that again today. Aren't we? Isn't the thing down like something like that? Let's see. No, what did I do? I just hit the wrong button. Button. Let's go back to that. Where is the Dow Jones Industrial Average today? There's a SEP futures contract. Yeah, so it settled on Friday at 34,555. 555. Triple nickels. And then it's trading right now at 34,083 with a 37 low. Let me just double check that. So was that 555? Yeah, so it's down over 500 points again. So we've got another 500 point drop. Oh, Alan, good. I like the thumbs up. That's cool. I'm in a short, started today. Good. You're already in there before you asked. Okay. Oil dropping again. Moses, we moved over. Like I said, I was going to move over to the SEP contract because August goes into delivery. Remember those guys at the NYMEX? I'm sorry, NYMEX. And it's all the CME group. But August. I'm going to get this right. July oil expires in June. Yeah, so August oil expires in July. Like around the 21st, 22nd, you start to do the delivery thing. Like when they sent oil into a negative that week, the delivery thing starts to kick up. And we'll keep an eye to make sure that they're not, we're not seeing another negative, but I doubt we're going to see the thing drop from 70 something. Now here's September. And it is going down. I mean, we've been in a daily sell for what, three full days. On a fourth, you can see the weekly is rolling over in a much smoother way. And so, we've been in a weekly buy for 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 weeks. We were in a weekly buy, and we climbed from the 65 area up to the 75 area. So it was a good $10 move in the oil. You can see here the daily, has been in that sell, and so there's pressure on it. It could be just profit taking at this point. It could be we try to find the story, what the math is trying to tell us. We try to. Sometimes we speculate. I don't invent. I speculate. In other words, I use old-fashioned fundamentals, trying to understand why something's dropping. Like, why would oil be going down in value? Well, obviously we know that there's more sellers than buyers. That's number one. All right, but is it telling us that we're coming up to less industrial growth, possibly? Is that what I'm seeing in all the math? Is that we know, I've heard all these Fed presidents and all these Fed vice chairs and whoever's, say stuff like, we're not going to be growing at the rate we have been growing. Okay, we've been hearing this over and over and over again for weeks upon weeks. So, all of a sudden, it's sinking in maybe? So, oil now, instead of having that look like it wants to go to 100, is probably going to bounce around in the high 50s or low 60s and play maybe with the 70s again over the next couple months until they get an industrial. Didn't we just see like inflation popping up again? Didn't we see like truck sales down? Didn't we see those numbers last week? Isn't that fundamental? Giannis, you hanging out in here? Giannis is the head technician for the Dukascopy Swiss people in Latvia. If you're listening, Giannis, are those fundamentals actually, that's legit, right? When we see like truck sales disappearing and so forth, that's like an industrial thing, right? So, PPI, we saw that. We saw the CPI not being favorable. What do you think, Giannis? You think some of these things are starting to set in, maybe? Maybe fundamentals are starting to supersede free money? Is that possible? I don't know. It's so hard to say if it's possible. Because the Fed has so much money. They can be the buyer of last resort with no problem. Let's see, Moses says, we discussed this on Friday. The oil down means dollar CAD goes up. Right. Yeah, let's go back to that. Exactly, Moses. That's right. We were fooling around with that. Doc looks at stuff, and I talk honestly from what my mind is thinking, how I'm trying to read it, and the math at the same time. So, yeah, you're right. Let's go over that. We did see that on the Canadian, right? There it is. Dollar Canadian ripping, and it's been ripping. So we've been in a buy, so oil should be backing off, right? Just like when we look at the South African rand, and it should be moving the way gold is moving. When gold is going up in value, the rand is dropping. Right, good move. Transitory, airy-fairy Fed inflation. I like that. That's a good one. Can I use that? I think I might use that. Transitory. I don't. There was a article. I think it was from J.P. Morgan Chase, which I trust those guys, not just because my daughter-in-law is an exec vice there in the back office, and my son was and is doing something else now. They hang with all the execs. Matter of fact, that's what was started off with the boat, because I had my jet boat getting it cleaned up because the kids had a beach house on the beach down in Ocean City, and I thought maybe I'd bring the boat down there, and they didn't take care of it. It was sitting in one of their backyards, out in the farm area, and little bushes are growing in there, and they don't put the cover on it. I should have shrink wrapped it, but they had it. I told them to shrink wrap it. Anyway, that was what instigated me to do the boat thing this weekend. And that started this conversation. There's a lot to be said about this. The airy-fairy attitude is right. I mean, how do you... that's what it was. J.P. Morgan Chase put out a really interesting article. Said that the banking system is broke. Not broke like no money. Broke like the system doesn't work anymore. That's what the article was. It was in zero hedge. And that started to bother me even more because I've been watching that ratio that they were talking about. Loans to deposits. I talked about this in a webinar, 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's irritating to watch those. The loans are dropping still, and deposits keep on increasing. It's like they're not in banking business anymore. I don't know, what are they, in a warehouse business? They use a forklift and they move pallets of money up on top of a shelf. It's like what the banks do, go out and buy like a Home Depot or a Lowe's, and they just pack money on pallets, and then they stick them up on shelves. I mean, that's what it looks like. They're not working that money. It's really irritating. So yeah, I go with you on that one. The transitory airy-fairy Fed inflation. It does. I don't know what it's going to do, and they're going to be a pain. You know that. They're going to fight tooth and nail to keep this market going, and they have the money to do it. That's the problem. That is what the problem is. The question is, will there be enough funds? Like Guggenheim. I mean, remember Guggenheim when we talked about it? I have friends that are running Guggenheim, so I know what's going on inside. And they steered clear. I said to them, you got to buy this V bottom in March and April. They said, no, we're stepping aside. We'll buy crypto. They went out and bought Bitcoin at like 29,000 instead. They said, no, we're going to just buy $50 or $60 million worth of that instead. And it wasn't that. It was it was 490 million. That's what it was. It was like $500 million worth. So, they're concerned. They're, because they don't read the markets very well short term, and they listen to me and then they don't listen to me. They get dense. They got a committee they have to agree with. It was the same way when I was doing with Jack Nash and Oppenheimer and all like that. They have a committee, but Jack Nash had more power, so him and Leon Levy could do what they want. So they listened to me and they did well. And so these funds, if their committee says dodge it, stay out of it, they will stop buying these stocks, and the Fed will have to buy them more even. And maybe there'll be an imbalance. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's just a matter of, I'm trying to guesstimate what my math is telling. What I trust the math and the quant, and I try not to pay attention to the fundamentals. But the fundamentals are screaming at us. So I don't know what to do, when it comes to keeping my mouth shut. I have to say something about the fundamentals. I can't sit there and say, oh, well, inflation is kicking up like it's Jimmy Carter. Don't worry, be happy. That's that Jamaican Commonwealth thing. All right, man, no worries, man. What is it? Soon come. All right, where we go from here, traders? Anybody have an opinion? Let's take a look at Turkish lira. There's Turkish lira, perking up a little bit in here. You can see that. But we've slid into the weekly sell last week right there. So that's on the dollar. Remember, the Euro Turkish lira has been in a weekly sell for 2 full weeks ahead of this, which always is kind of neat how the euro is so much more predictive than the dollar is. And I guess that's proximity and the wacky way of President Aragon, maybe, you combine together, I guess, Here it is here. There's the, see, been in a weekly sell for 2 full weeks now, going on a third. 1, 2, 3. 3 weeks, I'm sorry. 3 weeks, going on a fourth. That's what it is right there. And it's been in the daily sell there, too. It's a winner, chicken dinner. It tried to get into the buy on this red dot right there, which doesn't work. You can't get long it. So you can only be shorted still or sideways. In this case here, it just went right back into the daily sell the next day, and a la voila, boom, there it is. Transition. The singer of Don't Worry, Be Happy. Yeah. We get in trouble because we're on YouTube nowadays. I used to like to play that music. That's why I sing now. Later on, committed suicide in real life. Yeah, right, yeah. I right, man. That's sad, isn't it? I saw something by Kurt Cobain, something a couple days ago, about Kurt Cobain. He committed suicide, and he wrote something about happier to live leading and alive, being fully functional than dysfunctional. I don't know about any of that, but sad but true, I guess. All right, so there's the Euro Turkish lira, and it's rolling. And look at that white line way below the weekly nonlinear, the time manifold there, right there. The nonlinear time manifold. It's pushed down. So we're waiting to see if it's going to do some type of bottoming. That's why we had that dot. We were warning everybody when we saw that, and then we started seeing the zigzags. That's why that big old circle's in there, just to remind people to start watching out for upside. Then we went into the daily buy. Notice right there. And finally that week it went into the weekly buy, and sure enough, the product went from the the 1028 area, traded all the way up to the 1049, the 1061 area. So that's why those lines sometimes are left in there. Robin was saying to me, one client was asking about that, saying, why is that left in there? It's like, well, it's kind of fun to look back, just a reminder of, if we see it again happen, pay attention. Don't worry, man. Be happy. I'm not getting something from Bezos. Is that Bezos? Anyway, where are we at here? Let's see. Let's go to, where are we going to? What we did? We just did the Turkish lira. Oh, I know what it is. From the Turkish lira, we usually look at Canadian, but we looked at Canadian. So now what we do is we go into the energy sector, which we've already looked at oil. Let's look at gold. So there's the oil. We looked at that. That correlation between those pairs trades. And here's gold. And you can see here gold is fighting to try to get up. It's been in a weekly sell since back here, since that gap week knocked down. Our daily sell, because this is the August contract, back then we were following the June contract. So it actually was in a daily sell like from there, but I'm not going to worry about that. And then let's do this. We jump over to we'll do silver. Let's do silver. And then from silver we'll go to silver. It's been in the sell way back there. Since May, late May, we've been in the sell there. And we're in the sell for 3 days, 3 days going on a fourth. Weekly sell for a while since, what's it on the fact check spreadsheet? That's line 9. 10 weeks now we're in a weekly sell on that. So the pressure's there. Let's take a look at what pairs. Oh, I know. I want to go to the South African Rand. I know they got a lot of issues going on. I know they brought up troops. There's a physicist tonight that shared data back and forth. So I'm on texting all the time with South Africa, Cape Town. But it's all happening out in near Durban and Swazi Zulu area. So it's Zuma. That's what it comes down to. It's former President Zuma. And I'm surprised, people don't know that the Zulu nation was not under apartheid. So, in other words, apartheid, people think it was like, totally racist. It was more of an immigration thing. So, like, Zulus had full voting rights. And so Swazi Zulu and Durban are feeling incredible amounts of problem. That's where they had to send a lot of the troops. I imagine that the Zulus are fighting against Zuma and the ANC. That's probably what's going on there. They say people are dead in the roads. It's really wild. I will not fight against the Zulus, people. If anybody down there, steer clear. Those people are smart and they know what they're doing. So Zuma's guys are just a bunch of thugs. Okay, here is the South African Rand. Went out with a dancer from Durban. The ballet dancer. Anyway, let's see where we are. There we are, right there. You can see the South African Rand. It ran up. Now it's going sideways on us. You can see the weekly's trying to roll over. That might be indicative of nervousness in the metals market, possibly. I mean, all that uprising going on, all those, it's not an uprising. What it is the civil war between the ANC, two parts of the ANC, the ruling part of the ANC against Zuma's organization of the ANC, which is the former president, Zuma, who has been held contempt of court because he machine gunned down some people, and himself personally with a machine gun. And he did that during his presidency, and when he finally retired from his presidency, they started investigating him. And so Zuma's people are forcing a civil war of the ANC, the African National Congress, which is the ruling party in South Africa. And so Zulus are not part of the ANC. They have been part of the white political party forever. They've been part of that. So what we're really seeing is not a race thing going on right now as much as it's the ANC. It's communist capitalist fight going on right now. That's what it's kind of like. What was his name? Not Pinochet. What was the guy in Spain? back in before World War II. I can't think of his name, but it's basically you're looking at the ANC fighting with itself, and the Zulus not putting up with it because they're doing it over in their neighborhood. So that's pretty much what's going on there. Okay, where else are we now? So, I would try to interpret this a little bit like, I know things are a little weird with the weekly, so I'm not taking this too serious yet. But for gold traders, obviously if we can get into a weekly buy, don't be surprised that the South African Rand may be starting to point in that direction. And that could be what's going on. Now we do see this action going on right here. We're hitting the time manifold. And we didn't see so many distortions in so many time manifolds across the board right now. I would be even more bullish on this product. And look at silver. That's silver, right? 10 weeks. Here's gold. I mean, it was in a weekly sell. Is that gold? Let me just double check. No, that's S&Ps. There's gold. We were in a weekly sell. We went to that weekly buy here, and we had a run, but we couldn't get into the weekly buy. We just had the daily buy. So we went in in late June. We went to a daily buy, and then it ran ran up like 30 or 40 bucks, and then plateaued. And we tried, and we still are trying. It's trying to lift. You can see the buyers are trying to come in. The Federal Reserve is beating the daylights out of it. And you can see even we got a volatility signal, and we couldn't. What didn't throw it into a buy, it just kept it in the sell. So I mean, you're short here, and it's still short from here, and it's drifted down to it today. This is the open market fighting with the Federal Reserve. That's what this is. Now, if we can get these things to move up into the weekly, I don't expect the open market to win. It usually does not win for the last 12 years. The open market usually loses. Franco, that's it. Francisco, yeah. That's it, yeah, Franco. And that's what we're seeing in South Africa right now. It's ANC against ANC. It's the Zuma supporters against the people in power right now in the ANC. And then I heard it's happening over towards Swaziland, so that tells you right off. They tried to muscle on. They have a lot of. They're angry at the Zulus, the ANC, because the ANC, were illegal aliens basically coming into South Africa and taking, trying to take over the country in essence, just like what Biden does with the southern border here. So people don't understand that the apartheid was more of an immigration problem than it was a race problem. So, I mean, yeah, there's problems there. Of course, I'm not denying that there's problems. There's problems anywhere, but I mean, how do you account for if you were Japanese and Indian, you were temporary white in voting, and this way they didn't have to change the Constitution. And Zulus were part of the Constitution. They were full voting rights. So how does people immigrating from, say, Rhodesia or Nigeria or Kenya or Mozambique, they don't understand. And a lot of it had to do with immigration problems. But I'm not going to fight that battle. That battle's done and over with. And this is just the ANC. So if we see the South African Rand rolling over, and we see gold trying to lift up, maybe the Federal Reserve will let it climb for a little bit. That they have the power to stop it. So, or they've lost the power, and you don't want to live in a world where they lose the power, because that means all bets are off on everything. It's all nuts. It gets really crazy at that point. It gets totally crazy. So. All right, where do we drift from there? Let's go over to, we did the gold and silver. Let's look at copper. I noticed copper was trying to firm up at one point. That's what it is. The weekly's trying to firm up. That's that zigzag going on with a lot of these weeklies. Smart money was trying to bet that we're getting towards a bottom from up in here. And obviously they're going to start to roll over if this market's roll over. Now Friday, no, that's today. So we were in a daily buy for 4 or 5 days, but still in the weekly sell. So you couldn't be trapped in a long, you just couldn't be short. Now Now this is trying to reverse on you. Now you want to hold off on the short, waiting for this to start to back off. You know, it's kind of like trapped in that situation now. Let's see, where do we go from there? I saw the same thing in natural gas. Let me just show you natural gas. Natural gas is doing the same thing when we were looking at the energies. The daily is lifting up into the weekly. We've been in a weekly buy in natural gas for 14 weeks now? Yeah, 14 weeks. That's line 10 on the fact check spreadsheet. And we jumped into a daily buy there. I mean, here we are heading into mid-July, late July. And they have been buying natural gas straight across. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's not mine. I heard a phone. All right, and so nat gas is even showing life. You know, they're all showing life in odd ways. So be careful, traders. Don't, you know, neutral's a good place to be sometimes. Neutral's fine. Don't be so much of a rush. Or, as I was saying to someone yesterday, you know, collars. You have doubts about the market and your position. You're concerned. You don't have to get out. You just sell the calls, and you take the premium and buy the puts with it. If you're trading binaries, what you do is you sell the call binary spreads, and you can buy put binary spreads with the same money. So VIX index and yen index are identical. VIX index and yen index. Let's see. Did I copy it accidentally? Let's check that out. All right, here we're going to open it up. Let's see. Here is the. Where's the yen? Where's the yen? The yen is around here somewhere. Yen. There it is. Now there's yen. Oh, you mean the way they're acting? Yeah, for a minute I thought I might have copied them wrong. So there's the yen that we sent out this morning. Whew, you scared me. I was scared. And then let's take a look at the VIX. And there's the VIX. Okay, good. Oh, I was scared. All right, let's take a look at that real quick. Let's jump over to the currencies. Right there. And there is the yen. And you can see, yeah, the yen is heading down and going into a weekly sell. We sent that out this morning too, like that. It has the little circly thing there. Let's go back to that again. There's that little circly thing. There it is. See, there it is. So I put that in there. That's for the Chicago quant people. And so then, let's see, where are we at here? So then, VIX. Let's see, do we have a VIX around here? Is it in there? Do I have a VIX in here? I used to have a VIX in there. No, I have lumber in there. Okay, let's see, let's go find the VIX. Let me see if I have it over my Dukascopy currency side. I used to have a VIX in there. No VIX in there either. Alright. We'll see what they're doing live with that. Okay. Let's go here then. Let's open it up. Open Sesame. Where's it at? Let's go to the Stock Weekly. There we go. You know, it's funny you're right, they do, they have that similarity. Here is, they always do too, it's kind of wild. Nope, that's the wrong one. I opened up the wrong one. Let's close that. And let's open up, where am I at here? Open up, let's see, right there, index. There it is right there. Okay, and there's the VIX. And is that today? I think that's today updated, right? Yeah, so that's trading the pre-market. So they got the VIX already taken out these highs. Interesting. And we scrunch it down. Now that's what we saw last week is the super. That's what the 3-5, and the blue is the super as far as I remember. So yeah, let me just double check. There's the plots, yeah. See, that's the plot code. So plot 6 is what that really is it's the plot 1 of gas line 5. Oh wait a minute, this is a. Oh yeah, okay. because of the daily, because of the beta, we run a gas line 5 super, which means that the plot 6 is a 7, a plot 1 of a 7. We just try to see how they're leading each other. And so then, so the green dotted line, it should be the other way around, I guess. We should make that a dotted line, like so. Make that a solid line, right? Like so. And then we should take this one and make that the histogram. Like that, make that a line. That's the way it should be. Use as a default. There we are. Alright, now that's better. So that's what we were seeing, is that we saw that the 5, plot 1, was taking off. Sometimes they do that. I know it's odd, isn't it? But it does. It has a lot of times, because of the beta. It's got something to do with the beta of the product itself that identifies a longer cycle. Like it's like a charge. Remember, we're kind of working on the theories of electromagnetism and atomic theory is the math. So that's why the numbers can get pretty wild. So in this case here, you can see here they're trying to turn up the 3, and it will turn up really quick this week if this stays like this. It'll turn up real fast. But notice every time the VIX has turned up, they just sell it down. Mr. and Mrs. Fed Reserve and all the presidents abroad, or the Federal Reserve, or all the presidents, they somehow or other vote to spend the money to knock down the VIX. So that's really what we see there. All right, what else we got going? I guess that's about it. What should we call this webinar, traders? Anybody have an opinion? I guess what would we talk about? Talk about the ANC and Zuma. Why don't we call it the South African Rand and oil? How about that? Or gold? I don't know. Anybody have an opinion? I say we call it South African Rand. Ooh, you know what we also did? We did. Oh, you know what we should do? We should call it the South African Rand and the Singapore. We'll do that. We'll put Singapore in there, South African Rand, and we'll put oil in there. How's that? That sounds like fun. All right, traders. We will catch you tomorrow. Same time, same channel. This is Doc from North America saying happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be Tuesday. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends, all our Dukascopy trading friends. Catch you guys later. Aloha.